What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video and another week of The Bad Batch. Here we are with episode 9 of this series, simply titled Bounty Lost. We're going to be getting straight into spoilers as usual, so if you guys have not seen this episode, go check it out and come back and we can talk about it here in the comments section down below. So yeah, at the end of last week's episode, we see that Omega was captured by a Star Wars The Clone Wars fan favorite bounty hunter, Cad Bane, and that put a huge smile on my face. It's really great to see that connective tissue with the Bad Batch and the Clone Wars, since this is a pretty natural sequel series to the Clone Wars. And yeah, this was mainly Omega's episode. A lot of great action and a lot of great reveals in this episode, and so definitely excited to see where things go moving forward. The biggest reveal of this episode, let's jump straight to it, is we finally learn what makes Omega special. You know, this whole time we've been thinking she's like the Bad Batch, a group of genetic clones that all have something different about them. There's something about them that is genetically altered to kind of give them some sort of heightened ability. In the case of Hunter, he's kind of like the strategist. He has like, I guess, a more analytical mind. And you have Crosshair, who's obviously got great accuracy, and Wrecker, who's like the Hulk. And overall, you have these various different, members of the team that all have different abilities. And so, it seemed very clear that Omega was maybe going to be something like Force sensitive. There was something special about her, but turns out that is not the case at all. And what we actually learn is that she has first generation clone blood in her, first generation clone DNA, and she is not like the rest of the clones with having altered DNA that actually allows them to age faster or be more obedient. It actually turns out that she is exactly like Boba Fett. So in a lot of ways, Omega is Boba Fett's sister and Jango Fett's daughter. So very, very curious to see where they take this moving forward in the Star Wars canon overall. Obviously, like Star Wars does a lot of times, they introduce different things like this kind of randomly in the middle of a storyline. So I am very curious to see, in the future, if Boba Fett and her do end up meeting. Obviously we have to see how this show ends up wrapping up. But I feel like it's no coincidence that they announced this in the same year that we're going to be getting the first ever Boba Fett show with the Book of Boba Fett. So I wonder if we're going to see Omega in that show. I'm very, very, very curious to see how this all plays out. And ultimately, I thought that was a great reveal. I did not see that coming, and I'm very excited to see how people react to this over the course of the next week. But yeah, majority of this episode was Omega running away from Cad Bane. She's trying to find a way to communicate with the Batch, and then Fennec Shand shows up because Lama Su was actually the one who sent the bounty hunters prior to go and capture Omega. And this time around, he ends up sending Taun We, who's from Attack of the Clones, the first ever Kaminoan that we've ever seen. He ends up sending her to go receive Omega from Cad Bane, and is pretty much told that when, we end up getting the DNA from her that we need, kill her. And because of that, Nala Se, the other Kaminoan who's a lot closer to Omega, ends up kind of taking out her own bounty and sending Fennec Shand to save Omega from Cad Bane. So this majority of this episode was this tug of war of Fennec Shand trying to defeat Cad Bane and vice versa. Meanwhile, Omega's just trying to find a way to get off of this rock by herself. I believe this episode took place on Bespin. They never actually say, but it looked like Cloud City, so it was nice to see. And yeah, pretty much this was a very action-oriented episode where we learn those tidbits about Omega and who she is and how that's going to kind of affect things moving forward. We get to see that there's Kaminoans working against their leader, Lama Su. Taun We dies, which is crazy. Again, she's the first Kaminoan that we ever see in Attack of the Clones, the one that leads Obi-Wan through the Kaminoan, cloning facility. So, rest in peace, Taun We, after all these years. But yeah, we know that Lama Su is a pretty big piece of shit right now. He wants Omega for her DNA and he wants to kill her. And now Omega is finally back in the hands of the Batch at the very end of the episode. And Hunter promises her that she'll never go back to Kamino, which I feel is going to end up backfiring. There's got to be some way, shape, or form that they're going to end up getting their hands on her, getting her back to Kamino. I feel like the story is eventually going to go back there. Definitely some foreshadowing. But ultimately, really enjoyed this episode. Found it to be another beautifully animated episode with a lot of fun action, some great reveals that push the story forward, and of course, that convenient ending that ends up kind of undoing the ending of the episode prior. So ultimately, enjoyed the episode. I wish that Omega kind of maybe would have been separated from the Batch a little bit longer just to kind of add that tension to the story, but it was great to see Cad Bane again. I feel like we definitely will see him again in the series, and Fennec Shand, it's just cool to see her in animation and get a little bit more of her character, and seeing these two great bounty hunters go toe-to-toe was awesome. So definitely can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So please hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.